that a turbo hatchback, dude? It is, dude. That's sick.
Gentlemen, let me get some gas real quick. God dang, I'm hungry. Ah! False neutral. Hey, I fixed the GoPro angle. You should be able to tell. I had this, the old GoPro sat perfect, but this new one's bigger, so I had to like remove some of my stuff. Anyway, now in a tug, you should be able to see everything. This is like a full tug. And then upright, you should be able to only see about to here, I'm thinking. Anyway, yeah, should look good. But yeah, we got an important subject to talk about today, Brahs. It's so important! Anyway, basically, listen, your 600 or 750 has never gone anywhere close to 180 miles per hour. Ever! In the history of never! It's never happened! Nada! Zilch! Doesn't exist! No! I'm sorry, I'm getting sick and tired of seeing these comments of my 750 went 183, my 750, my 600, I went 170, my 600. No, you didn't! No, you didn't! Your bike, your speedometer might have said 170. I believe that. I believe all of y'all. Your speedometers probably said all those crazy speeds that you thought you were going. Just like my speedometer says 186 miles per hour, and I ain't even shift out of fifth. But guess what? This thing hasn't even ever seen 186 miles per hour, and probably never will. So don't go around telling people that your bike goes that fast when it don't. No Gixxer 750 has gone faster than this thing. This thing is actually fast. It's just not as fast as what it says. That's all. I'm tired of seeing that comments. Piss me off. So we're gonna look. This is the real speed, okay? A normal 600cc motorcycle will do around 150 miles an hour for sure. I'm talking like flat out. A 600cc motorcycle, old and new, should all do around the same speed because not that much has changed. They're going to be a couple miles an hour faster maybe on the newer bikes versus the older ones, but it's not a huge freaking difference. That's it. 150, maybe 160, one that's tuned, like a newer one that's tuned and set up right. Maybe 160 something. I think I GPS'd my 636 with no tune and just exhaust before I did sprockets. I think it did around 153, 155. That was my 2015 636. And then some of the newer ones, I got them to redline according to the speedometer around 160 something, which I'm assuming they're probably right under 160 real speed. So like a tuned out 600 will go 160. That's it. A 750 on the other hand, it's about 10 miles an hour faster on the top end. That's it. That's all you're getting. 10 miles an hour quicker, maybe. I GPS my 2007 750. Let's see, what did it do? It did like 165, 67, something like that. And that was with a garbage chain, and that was an older 750. Had a trash chain on it, which doesn't really help when you got a garbage chain like that. Oh, excuse me. But that's it. So a nice one with a good chain, probably right around. We're gonna go this way around this guy. Probably right around 170 miles an hour. is going to be a normal 750. Maybe a souped up one, a well-tuned, geared just right, might do like 175 or something like that, but I don't think it's getting to no 180. The only 750 that I've seen claim to do around 180 miles an hour was the 750 that's been bored out. It had internal work done, had motor work done, cams, bigger pistons, like it had some stuff done to do 180. I'm not sure what his bore was either. Probably still under 800 cc's, but it was bigger. Anyway, that's the only Gixxer 750 I've seen actually run some numbers like that. And then as for the 1000s, my buddy James's, which we've done this Quest for 200 on, that bike on the speedometer shows 189 when you're topped out, you know, or get close to being topped out, but it still keeps going, just like all these bikes keep going when they show their top speed, because all the speedometers are wrong. All the speedometers are wrong. It was going, I got it to 188 miles an hour. That's with full exhaust. ECU was flashed by more Mafia, so that's an unlocked ECU, and that's all it could do. It's so hard to get past and to 180 miles an hour. Like once you're in the 180s, you're going fast and everything matters at that point. Mez has also a 2021 ZX10R. He's got carbon fiber wheels, chain sprocket set up, a little bit different gearing. He's got a custom, he custom tunes his bike. He's got his RPM limiter raised, so like mine's raised too. My real red line is 13.5, but the way Alex set it up for me is that now it redlines at 13.9 in last gear, so I have more RPM to work with. But even with that, my tachometer is still off by a little bit, because I'll be reading over 14 or at 14 and I'm still not on the red line. Like, we'll know when we're on the red line because it's gonna sound like this. It's gonna start bouncing and stuff, and I haven't yet to make it bounce. So, well, really, no, I lie, it's a hard red line at first, or at 6, so it won't bounce at all. It'll go, which I can show you by maxing out first, but we're gonna run into cars before we get to that speed. Anyway, I just get so sick and tired of hearing people talking about how their whatever goes this fast and stuff. It is so hard going around 180 miles an hour. I know from experience. Now, granted, I'm also a big guy. I'm 210 pounds, right? So you guys that are 180 pounds, you got 30 pounds less weight on your 1000 to go. So like, you'll probably, somebody that's lighter than me could probably make this thing easily go up to the red line. But with me, it's just not going to happen unless I lose weight. But I'm not going to lose weight. I'm gaining weight, if anything. Overall, for the most part, that's it. It's just not going to happen unless you're a super light rider and your bike's modded heavily. You're not going to see these kind of crazy speeds on 600, 750s, and 1000s. The 1000, like I was talking about Mez's, he got that crazy 200 mile top speed with his RPMs raised way higher than they should be, and the bike had a backwind and it was going kind of downhill for a little ways on a highway. That's the only reason he got to that speed. So really, when I was going out with James's ZX10R, I was being optimistic, hoping it could go anywhere close to 200. It did okay, but 12 mile an hour off is a lot. Like, we're gonna have to have a lot more power to reach those speeds. Why am I parking here? I was trying to figure out what I want to eat. It's the middle of the day. I haven't eaten anything. I'm starving. I'm starving, Brahs. I'm dying of starvation right now. I can't think about what I want to eat. Gosh, it's so hard. This is my hardest choice of the day, is think about where I want to eat. Hey, that's illegal. Yeah, so I don't want to hear any more about this nonsense about you guys and your 600s and 750s doing any speed that's not realistic. If I see anybody say anything unrealistic, I'm going to tell you it's unrealistic. I'm going to tell you to your face. Didn't happen. Excuse me, sir. The line is there. You're not supposed to go wait up there. Anyway. I don't know, Brad. That's just it. I don't understand. Everybody gets off really thinking it's because the Speedos, really. And from the factory, they're off by like 15% or something, or 8% or something, anywhere between 8 to 15% or something like that. It's crazy. They're way off. So your high end is going to be completely inaccurate, but you're going down the highway at 75 is going to be around about right. So it's in specs enough for your normal usage, which I'm assuming is why they just leave it whacked out. I don't know. I got a speedo correct coming for this thing, and I'm going to get it fixed to where we don't see that 186 anymore, because this bike doesn't go 186. I don't want to see it. I want to see it do, the highest I want this speedometer to eventually go is 184 or 185. I want it to be so close to my actual speed, even if my lower speed is wrong. I don't care. I just want the high speed to be right. But yeah, so that's the hard truth. I know you feel like this happened, and Jimmy John down the street said it, and he said he GPS'd it, but he didn't. He just looked at the speedometer. He's lying to you. It didn't happen. Also, just for also getting a little understanding more so, right? 160, a nice tuned out 600, right? 170, a nice tuned out 750. That's 150 cc's bigger bore than a 600. So a 600 that's been bored out, right, a little bit bigger, or had some motor work or anything, right, is still not going to be as big as a stock 750 motor. And the stock 750 is doing good to do 170, right? So you can see like 10 mile an hour difference, right? It's the 600, it doesn't matter what you've done to it. Only way you can make it go really much faster would be NOS. Hit it with nitrous and have the gearing set up to where you can go way faster, but the bike doesn't have the power to bring it, and basically whatever you're ringing out 6th gear, hit the boost. That's a way to do it. But we don't really care about the extreme circumstance. We're talking about the norms, and the norms are what I've already said about 1,000,000 times. So please stop telling me about how your 750 or 600 went X amount of speed when it didn't. Actually get a GPS device like this right there. See that? Wait, see it? That's a GPS device. It's on right now. If I pull over and hit in session and then click on it, it's going to tell me what my top speed has been this whole time I've been riding this bike. And no one's going to be able to say like, no, it's another thing, real quick, listen. If the bike doesn't have the power to top out to the red line with stock gearing, making the gears smaller, in other words, making your gears small, like your sprocket smaller, or bring your top speed higher, the bike will not have the power to make it ring out 6th gear, because now 6th gear is even bigger than what it was before, and it couldn't do it before. It's not going to be able to do it once you make it bigger. Somebody actually told me that I should change my gearing up to where I have smaller sprockets so that I have a higher top speed. And yes, that makes the transmission be able to go Z speed. But what this retard, no offense, doesn't understand is that the bike didn't have the power to hit redline with the normal gearing. How the hell is it going to hit redline when the gear is even bigger than it was before? It's because some dirt told him at a shop one day if he wants to go faster, he's got to go down on teeth and up in the front, because that's going to make his gears bigger, giving him a higher top speed. But what the dirt doesn't understand is that the bike didn't have the power in 6th gear to ring out what it had, let alone if it had a bigger 6th gear to ring out. Does that make sense? Also, I saw some dude on Instagram, which I forgot if I respond to him or not, but he said he went down teeth on his R3 and he got a higher top speed in 5th than he could 6th, as it was stock. And I can very easily explain this, and you should be able to understand this anyway without me having to explain this to you, but we'll do it in parts, right? So say you got 5th and 6th gear, right? But you go up teeth, right? So that made 6, or you go down teeth in the back. So that made 6th gear become like 6.5 gear, okay? Just a little bit bigger, you understand what I'm saying? And then now 5th gear is 5.5 gear, right? So it's a little bit bigger than before, right? But 5.5 gear is a half gear smaller than what 6th gear was. So if you're in 5th gear and in 6th gear you couldn't get it to ring out, but 5th gear now is bigger, but also the bike has enough power to pull through 5th gear versus 6th gear now being too big. He said he got a new top speed, which makes sense because you had enough power in that R3 to ring out a half below 6th gear. Does that make sense? But now that you got 5.5 gear, basically, it has enough power to ring out that gear only. Does that make sense? But you can accomplish the exact same thing by going up teeth in the back, because that'll make 6th gear go down a half, right? Like, not really, like the numbers are off, but I'm just doing this for retro understanding, right? It'll go down a half. So you'll make 6th gear 5.5 gear, and then 5th gear will be 4.5 gear, right? So by going down teeth, your last gear will actually ring out easier because your gear is smaller. Does that make sense? Gosh, this is not complicated, and everybody's acting like this is so complicated and gives me these frankly dumb answers that are not correct. It's wearing me out, Brez. I can't stand that. Can't stand it. So my bike did not have the power to ring out 6th gear clearly as stock gearing, even after the tune. So I went up teeth to make my 6th gear smaller because it didn't have the power to reach it before. Now I'm really close to hitting it. Doing that 183 is as best as we got, but I'm thinking if I just had a little bit more, I could get 185, maybe on the red line 185, maybe 186 down a hill type stuff without this crazy wind that's all winter long. It's just so windy, which is why I went up teeth. So nobody tell me in the comments that if I went down teeth in the back and up one in the front, and then my gearing would be so bigger and it'd so easily be able to 200. Yes, if it had the power, then it has the gear ratio to hit 200, but we lack the power, so we have to make the gear ratio smaller to make up the difference, not bigger. If you make it bigger, you double down on your problem of not having enough power, and now you got too much gear. Now I made it to where I had not enough power, and I made it smaller gear, so it closed that gap a little bit. I could probably still go up one tooth if I really want to just be able to like smack red line. Like I really want to be able to just lay into it and then bang off the red limiter and let out. But I literally can't do it with this gearing even. So like I could go up 1 or 2 more teeth and then I'll be able to do it, but my top speed will be below 180 at that point. So yes, that's it, Brez. I'm gonna go eat and then something. I don't know. See that flag? It's not super windy today, so maybe I'll creep out to 635 now while it's early and see if we can get this thing to hit res limiter. Maybe, I don't know, whatever. Anyways, hope you enjoyed my pep talk. I hope you learned something today. Argue with yourselves in the comments about how right you are about your incorrect ideas about gearing and power ratios. And yeah, that's it. Alright, love y'all, bye.